Hello, my name is Brenda. My channel is Handwork Maniac. Welcome. I have so much to share with you today. It's been a few weeks since I did a video. We're going to I have a couple of items of housekeeping. Then I'll show all of my cross stitch works in progress, whips, projects I'm working on. I had several new starts since the last video. Then I'll talk about my plans for July a little bit. And then I'll talk about StitchCon at the end and all of the stitchy kindness that I received and the haul that I bought. And then I'll put some pictures at the end of the video. Okay, so first of all, in the last video, I showed you this fabulous bag made by creative country girl, Tammy Blaylock, that I have my Christmas Afghan in, because I have it on 11 by 17 Q-snaps, and this bag fits that. And I told you I didn't know how big it was. It has 2 rings inside to hold things because it's such a nice big bag, and it has a zipper pocket right here. Tammy commented on the last video and said that it is a 20 by 20 bag. It will hold a 17 by 17 inch Q-snap. Her website is tammyblaylock.com. And she said she doesn't have any in her store right now, but if you want to special order one, she's happy to make one for you. One of these big ones that's 20 by 20. Her bags are fabulous. Creative country girl. I also bought one of her bags at StitchCon. I'll show you in a little bit. And then I had a viewer who is working on the Sam Sarah Perpetual Calendar that I used to have right here, but is now in my office at work. They were having a problem. I believe the patterns are out of print now. There's 12 leaflets to do the whole year, to do the whole calendar. And you used to could buy the pre-cut tags, the cardboard tags to hang them on. So these are the last 2 that I did. They're on perforated paper. They're all the same size. The leaflets did not come with a holiday. It comes with a monthly card for January and March, but it didn't come with a holiday card for January and March. So I made these, I adapted these from other designs. I showed you that in earlier videos, and like 2 years ago. And have I glued them to the cards and put them on the calendar yet? No. But I had a viewer ask about these cards because they could not find anywhere to purchase these pre-made die-cut cardboard cards, and asked if I'd show them up close. And it is just cardstock. It does have a little bit of a pattern on it. You can see there those horizontal stripy texture. There's a texture on it. Just has 3 holes at the bottom, 1 at the top. And you just glue these cards right onto it. The leaflet patterns have a little template you can make out of a file folder so that you can get it on there straight. And you just use, I just used spray on glue and then put a heavy weight on it overnight. I used a lot of spray on glue on the back of this spray adhesive that I sprayed in a spray box inside of a box so the spray didn't go everywhere out in my garage. And then I placed it on here carefully with the file folder that they tell you how to make so you can get it straight. And then I put heavy books on top of it overnight so it would dry. But hopefully that helps you, because you could definitely make these cards yourself. All it needs is a hole in the top to hang. If you use the same wire hanger that the Sam Sarah Perpetual Calendar, it's called Fun Every Day Perpetual Calendar. If you use the same, I believe it's, oh, the company starts with AC. I'll put it in the description box below. You can still buy the wire hanger. And then you could totally just make these cards yourself. It just needs to be big enough to glue this onto, and it has to have a hole in the top. You can have 3 holes at the bottom. Those are just decorative if you want. It doesn't even have to be rounded at the top. It could totally be square. So hopefully that helps. My good friend Deanna at Creative Country, no, that was Tammy, Creative Country Girl. Cherry Hill Stitchery. Deanna at Cherry Hill Stitchery was very generous and sent me one of her patterns called Bumble Honey Company. C-O, Bumble Honey Co. Look how cute that is. It would make the most darling small or a medium-sized flat fold or on like a clipboard. It's so cute and very summery, I felt like. She sent this to me, so nice of her. And she also sent another one for me to give away with floss and fabric. And you can have either 32 count fabric or 16 count Aida. I am going to stitch this. If you would like to me to draw your name as the giveaway to win this, then please comment in the comments below. Use the word honey. It's a big word right here, honey. That's the word I'll be looking for. And then I'll draw a name and send it out to you. But how exciting is that? And then I think I have one more. Oh, I changed the stuff on the wall up here. If you want more information about the insulation type stuff, foam insulation that my husband screwed to the wall so that I could poke, they're just attached with pins. I talk about that in the last time I did a video showing what was on the wall. I think it's the fall video of what was on the wall. Right in the middle of that, I talk to you and show you how we put stuff on the wall to make that, so I could stick them up there easily. Anyway, I've changed it to summer stuff now, and I will do a separate video either this week or early next week and tell you the names of all the patterns that are up there. Oh, I'm gonna have piles everywhere. Okay, that's all the housekeeping. Now we'll go to works in progress, cross-stitching works in progress, and new starts. StitchCon is a retreat hosted and put on by the Keepsake store in Sharonville, Ohio. And it was in Sharonville, which is just outside of Cincinnati. And so when I flew there on the plane, I quite often stitch on Pandemic while I'm flying. I don't know why that's become my on the plane project, in the airport and on the plane. It's by Long Dog Samplers. It's called Pandemic. I'm sure you've seen it. So I worked on it in the airport and on the plane on the way there and back. If you want more information about the StitchCon retreat, go to their website, stitch-con.com. This is how big the piece is. This is how much I have done. I think I'm close to, I think I'm 40-something%. I'm close to halfway. I usually preload several needles the day before I travel, so that they're all just sitting there. It's easier on the plane to just grab a needle and stitch. I stitched on this part here and this diagonal coming down the 2 days that I was traveling. This is 36 count linen, and I'm using Sulky, S-U-L-K-Y, cotton thread. It's a little bit thicker than normal embroidery floss, so I just use one strand over 2 fabric threads. I'm using the color Cactus. It's a variegated color in greens, and then I'm also using a turquoise color and a darker green color for the border here, and then just some DMC in green and turquoise to do the back stitching details. But those will all be in the description box below as well. Love working on this one. It's a great travel project for me because I can just keep going with the same color until it runs out. And then I can just grab another needle with thread already on it and keep stitching until it runs out. In the plane, I always get a window seat so I don't hit, because I'm right-handed. So I'll hit the window and not the person I'm sitting next to. But you know, you only have this much space in a plane, so you're kind of stitching like this. But it's nice not to have to go fish for the scissors, or to just be able to keep stitching and then pull another needle off and then just keep stitching. Sometimes I just leave the tails on the back and cut them off later when I'm not on the plane. And then in the airport, it's great too. While you're waiting for your flight. This one is the Flower Shop by Thistles. It was one of my Mania starts this year. And I had assigned myself, was going to focus on it in the month of May. So I believe I showed it how far I was in the last video. And this is how far I got by the end of the month of May. Finished the flower shop, started on the flowers that are sitting out front. Beautiful pattern, using the called for threads on 46 count natural 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. That one was fun to work on. I will probably put it away and not work on it again until next spring. Where am I going to stack these? I do have a Whip Go board. That's Jessie Marie Does Stuff. Her channel, she does Whip Go. And Colors of Water was on my, I believe was one of my May Whip Go pieces, and my goal is to finish it. It's Die Farben des Wassers in German. That's the Colors of Water. And the designer is Der Werkstatt für historisch Stickmuster, which I believe is the workshop for historic stitching. They have several, they're same type, but in different colorways. Just gorgeous. Their patterns are also available inside of the Silk app. If you get the Silk app on your device, then you go inside, open it up, and then there's patterns in there you can purchase. They have patterns in there you can purchase through them. Or you can go to their German website and order from there and get a PDF. I did not finish this. This might have been June's. Can't remember if this was for May or June, but I am not finished yet. I prepared it ahead of time and did the motif and an outline around it and was just going to fill in during StitchCon, which I did get this and this done, but I did not get that last little bit done. It is 6 squares by 6 squares, so I am on row 4 and there will be 2 more. But this is such a lovely piece. It is on 46 count off-white linen. I'm using 1 strand of the called for Avera Soie d'Alger threads. So 1 strand of the silk over 2 fabric threads. Okay, this is one of my new starts. Oh, and this was a brass button bag of the month that my daughter Marie had very fast fingers and helped me get this one. She puts her bags of the month up every month, and then you just have to order really quick to get one on her Instagram page, the Brass Button Shop. She'll tell you that they're coming up for sale, will remind you on her Instagram page, but then you go to her Etsy shop, the Brass Button Shop, to purchase them. Sorry, I'm all kinds of confusing today. Marie and I talked about starting Can't remember if I showed this to you last time or not. Marie and I talked about starting Consider the Lilies a while ago, like a year ago, and then just recently decided to start it. So it's by, oh, it's upside down. How exciting. Heartstring Samplery, Consider the Lilies. Oh dear. And it is on 46 count flax Zweigart fabric. Mostly the called for threads. There were a few I did not have, so I substituted. They're overdyed cottons. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. And that is what I have so far. My daughter Marie's YouTube channel is Stitchy Marie. She also has a Instagram page. She hasn't made a video for a while, so you should message her on Instagram and tell her she needs to make a video. I keep telling her, but she just looks at me and says, I don't know. This is a stitch along with several friends, My Home in the Garden. We started it at Stitch West last October. That's a retreat held in Salt Lake City by the Snug Harbor Crafts channel. That's where you would get more information about that, is the YouTube channel Snug Harbor Crafts. We divided it, you can see the pencil lines where we divided it into 12 sections. We wanted to do, and then have it done by Stitch West this coming October. It'll take us a year. It is, you probably saw that already, Hello by Liz Matthews, My Home in the Garden. Mine is on 40 count alabaster. These are project cards by S. Ward Designs on Etsy. I love them because I can mark the days that I worked on it. And I can also put the information so I remember what fabric it's on and what floss I'm using and what day I started it. She also has several other different types, like you can track how many stitches you did, or different ways to track instead of just which day you worked on it. And this is where I am. This was, we go from the 15th of the month to the 15th of the month. And we had a discussion at StitchCon. There were a couple of us at StitchCon who are in the stitch along about whether that means you have to have it done by midnight on the 15th, that month section, or do you have to have it done on the 14th because the new start section starts on the 15th. I had everything done except this flower, and it was the 15th. And they were telling me that I was behind. And not only was I behind on this section, I had gone ahead and worked on sections that weren't for a couple of months from now. So I was totally off, not following the rules. So I said, well, it's the 15th today. I'll finish it tonight. And they said, no, it should have been done last night by midnight. So we argued about that. Okay, we didn't argue. We teased about that all weekend. But I did finish this flower by midnight on the 15th. Next month, by the 15th of July, we will need to have this section done. And then I started working ahead on the house and this border, just because these sections are a little more stitching. When we get into those sections, there'll be more stitching than these have been. So I didn't want to get behind. We're using the called for Gloriana silks. They are gorgeous. And this is 40 count alabaster linen, 1 strand of silk over 2 fabric threads. This is another stitch along No, that's not a good picture. No. It's in here somewhere. Hang on. It's not in the plastic sleeve anymore. There it is. Home Sweet Home by the Bay Needle Arts. Comes out one section every month. It started in November. I am doing mine on 46 count vintage by Bestitch Me. It comes out on the 8th every month. So I finished the section that came out on the 8th of June. No, the 8th of May, but I have not finished the section yet that came out on the 8th of June because I try and have it done by the 8th of July. Like, I haven't even started on it yet, but I will have it done by the 8th of July. I am off work for the summer. I work at a school. I'm the administrative secretary at a public junior high. And I get 6 weeks off in the summer. 2 weeks of June and then all of July. Well, I have to go in a couple of times, but for the most part, I'm off. So there should be no problem getting that done by the 8th of July. I will have no excuses. It's the Called for DMC 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. Okay, you may remember from the last video that I wanted to stitch the montages, the seasonal montages with Sarah the Stitchin' Mommy, Colette the Highway Stitcher, several others. They're doing the version from Pain Free Crafts, the full coverage versions. The same artwork was used for these kits by JanLynn. I decided to do the kits just because I thought I could get those done easier than for full coverage. And they're starting one that season on the first day of that season. So I started the spring one late in April, May. And then I started the summer one just recently on the first day of summer. It comes with, a viewer. I kept telling you it came with 14 count white Aida. 14 count. It's not white. It's like a oatmeal colored. Kind of like the old fiddler's cloth, if you're familiar with that. I had a viewer remind me that. She's like, mine didn't come with white. Mine came with a lovely oatmeal-y colored one. And so I had to pull them out and look, and I'm like, you are so right. They do. I am sorry about that. I led you astray. I am not using the fabric that they came with because see if I can find the picture. It must be in the other bag. I like the colors of the full coverage version. So I'm doing the kit version, but I'm trying to make it the background more the colors of the Pain Free Craft full coverage version. Same artwork, just 2 interpretations. So instead of using the fabric that it came with, I dyed a piece of 36 count light mocha linen. And I dyed it with some marigold Rit dye. And got this color that I really liked. I'm using the kit floss, but I did the color of these squares I did change to match more the background fabric. Otherwise I'm using the kit floss. And I finished almost done with the top section of spring. I'm going to add a thread over the top to blend this light into these light checkerboard into this dark checkerboard a little better. The pattern actually there's a dividing line right here. These are all dark and these are all light, but in the artwork, it kind of gradually gets darker. So I'll add one more thread of some dark over the top of these lights to make it more of a gradual line. That one has been fun to work on. And then the summer one that I started on June 21st, or I might have done it on June 22nd. Looks like this. Here is the kit version and the full coverage pain-free crafts version side by side. I like this background color better. So I dyed that same 36 count light mocha fabric. But I used a little less dye this time to make it a little bit lighter. The summer piece is just a little brighter. Let's see if I can make this look better. There we go. And I've started on the window and that big slice of, there's a little slice of, triangle slice of watermelon right here, and then a big quarter of the watermelon behind it. That's what I have so far on that one. So that was another new start. What is that, 2? I worked just a little bit on the Prairie Schooler alphabet. Oh, come on, where's ABC? PQR, STU, GHI, JKL. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's warm today. Prairie Schooler did a series of leaflets. They did all the letters of the alphabet. This one is just called ABC. I'm putting them all together on the same piece of fabric. These are all almost the same size, but not quite. Most of them are 70 by 100, but some of them are 72 by 103, or they vary just a little bit. So I forced them all, I'm forcing them all to be 70 by 100. So I'm editing the pattern to take stuff out if they're not 70 by, to make them 70 by 100. And then I am combining G and H and V and W into the same square so that I can have just 24 squares, and this is the layout that I will use. It is over one strand of fabric, one strand of floss over one fabric thread on 28 count linen. It's kind of a cream colored linen. So that would be the same as doing over 2 threads on 56 count. So it's tiny. But I am up here on the C. This is how big it will be when it is finished. Using the called for DMC, except for this red color in A, B, and C, like the red of this house, was a really dark red, and I didn't think it showed up well against this black. So I changed all the reds to a lighter red, but I will put that in the description box below. This was a new start at StitchCon. It is Brenda Gervais. Summer Schoolhouse. There are 4 leaflets, 4 patterns to do if you want to do all of the 5 pillows or 5 patterns. You could do it all on one piece of fabric. I am going to do them as separate pillows. I'm using the called for fabric, 28 count Mushroom Lugana, and the called for threads, 1 strand of floss over 1 fabric thread. So same as the last one, 1/1 on 28 count is the same as 1/2 on 56 count. So it is tiny. You could stitch it bigger. That's what I have so far. It's a beautiful pattern. These strawberries are used brick, and my used brick was very brown. So I did change out my used brick to Ruby Slipper, which I think is Gentle Arts Ruby Slipper, because it was more of a red brown, in the same color family but more red. Let's see, that was new start number 3. In my last video, I told you that I was doing Mill Hill. I wanted to do the Mill Hill buttons and beads and put a frame in my office and then just keep changing them out. So I started with this one, which isn't actually a button and beads. It's a floral, part of the Floral Fantasy series. It's just slightly bigger than a buttons and beads. So I have a 6x6 Mill Hill frame and an 8x8 Mill Hill frame, and this will have to go in the 8x8, but that's fine. This is yellow, Floral Yellow 2 as part of this Floral Fantasy set. Oh, excuse me. And I think it goes this way because I've been stitching on it upside down. Don't ask me why. I started it upside down and just kept going that way. This is what I have so far. I am beading as I go because it will all fit inside of this Q-snap. It came with yellow, gorgeous yellow Aida, but I decided to do it on this opalescent 28 count even weave chime. It's got some, it's a yellow variegated, light yellow. That one is fun to work on. And I use a, these used to be called, to do my beading, I use a tacky bob. They used to be sold under the name Tacky Bob, but that company stopped making them. So now they're a tacky bill. You can still buy them. I think it's Yarn Tree that's selling them now. Can't remember. It's a jewel case that opens up. There's lots of different patterns on the front to choose from. But it's very sticky on the inside, on both sides. So you can just dump your beads on there. They stick. They don't come off until you put them on your needle and take them off. Very handy for beading. This was another new start. What is that, number 4? This was a pattern by Sue Hillis that they sold at StitchCon. It's the StitchCon sampler. It's got the Keepsakes store, stitching store. It's got their cat, 310. The Stitchy bus that goes back and forth between the Convention Center and the Keepsakes store. It's got the StitchCon logo. So I bought that and decided to start it at StitchCon using the called for DMC, except that I changed the greens and the reds slightly. I'll put those in the description box below. And I'm using 32 count French Country Rain is the fabric. 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. This one's not too big. I'm hoping to have it finished in the next week or so. And this bag I bought, I totally break the rules about when you buy haul, you have to show it on your channel before you use it. I'm terrible at that. I just want to use it right away. So I do. So the bag that it's in is one that I bought at StitchCon in the Annex, which is a store run by Keepsakes in the Conference Convention Center. This is made by my friend Jenny, Cricklewood Crossing. Her Flosstube channel is Cricklewood Crossing, and her store, she sells items, I think on Etsy, I'm not even sure. But if you Google Cricklewood Crossing, I'm sure you'll find it. But look at this beautiful bag. Look at those birds. There's the back. It's got a beautiful zipper pull. And little heart. Okay, the doorbell rang. So while I was up, I went to check. Yes, Cricklewood Crossing on. She has a YouTube channel. She has an Instagram account, and she's on Etsy. Beautiful little heart charm right here that says made with love. Beautiful bag. I also bought some of her Needleminders at the Annex at StitchCon. I'll show those when I get to my StitchCon haul. Last year when I was at StitchCon, I saw Lisa, her Flosstube channel is, her and Crystal do a Flosstube channel called Stitch in the Dream. She was working on these 12 Days of Christmas patterns from Hello from Liz Matthews, and she was putting them all on one piece of fabric. Hers is smaller than mine. I think she's either, can't remember if she's doing it on 56 count, but it was so gorgeous, and I thought, I've got to do that. So when I got home last year, I started it. Mine's on 46 count, and I'm also doing mine all on one piece of fabric. I've showed it to you before. You can see the checkerboard. About this piece of paper right here. I finished 1 and 2, and I've started on number 3. They are so gorgeous. Using the called for NPI silks, 1 strand of silk over 2 fabric threads. And I believe the pattern says that the tree used the DMC threads, and the model, was also using the sampler was worked on. Okay, so the back pattern says this was using the DMC threads that she lists, and this was using the NPI silks. And then while we were at StitchCon this year, I went and found Lisa and was talking to her, and she had brought hers too. So we sat down together next to each other and worked on them next to each other. We took a picture of that. I will insert that right here. That was so fun. Fun to see her again. Oh, I forgot. The pattern has, these houses across the bottom have initials on them in their charted pattern. And I had seen that Lisa put windows, left these windows unstitched on hers. And she showed it on her Flosstube channel. So I totally paused my TV and sat down with a highlighter on my pattern and kind of drew in where I could see that she had done the windows because I thought it was so cute. So mine are not exactly the same as hers, but they're very close. Because I just loved that. The initials are beautiful too, but I just loved the look of those windows. Okay, one of my whip go calls for June was A Stitch for All Seasons Summer by Little Dove Designs, and I think my goal was 20 hours. It was either 12 hours or 20 hours, and I far exceeded that. I had prepared it so that I had just had a bunch of fill-in to do that I could do at StitchCon while I was talking. And then I worked on it some more when I got home. I believe this, oh, I started this after, because I bought this pattern at StitchCon a year ago. And then started it when I got home because it just felt like summer and that I needed to start it. Let me get it out of the Q-snap, sorry. It's the Called for DMC, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. I'll have to look and see what color it's on. All of this water is done with 2 strands half cross. And then the rest I'm doing 1 strand full cross. So that was, and that was charted in the pattern. That was cool. And the fabric is 40 Count Seaside Melody by Silk Weaver. Beautiful blue. This is my Gold Dimensions Gold Collection kit called Lost No More. The artwork is by Greg Olson. I'm using the kit fabric and the kit floss. It is 18 count tan Aida. That's what came with the kit. And this is what I have so far. I'm about halfway over. So another half over here. Probably a little more than half. And I've been working in the tree section up here. So that one's coming right along. This one was a new year, new day start this year. M Designs. This chart is for A and B. I am just doing the B. I thought it would be fun to try 103 silk on 56 count linen. So I'm using one strand of the 100, it's 100/3, that's the name of the kind of silk it is. It's a very thin, tiny silk. Black. One strand of silk over 2 fabric threads on 56 count. And that's what I have so far. This is the 103 silk. It's made by a Versoix company. This is Kingdom of Books, a kit, a Russian kit from a Russian company. I had a viewer tell me that it translates to, the company name is Make It With Your Own Hands. And it does say Kingdom of Books on the inside. I am not doing all of this wood stitching, and I'm not doing this whole shelf underneath. I'm just doing a little bit for the shadow to anchor the books, and a little bit of this background shelf around each book so that the white pops out. Gives it a little shadow back there as well. The kit came with 14 count white Aida. I am doing mine on 18 count overdyed Aida. I believe it's caramel cream color, and the Etsy store. I'll get there. It's always hanging around in the bottom of the bag. Vintage Needle Arts. My friend Sharon and I are working on this. We do about a half of a book a month. It's going to take us 3 years, we figure. It's been a year and a half, so we're right in the middle, halfway. The kit floss, 2 strands of floss over 1 Aida square. It's 18 count Aida. And I'm working in the middle there on the gates. I just need to finish this book by tomorrow, by today. And then we're going to do this section up here in July, and then we'll do the gates in August. The pattern has the titles of the books in Russian. And I had a friend translate those for me. And the books are all about the Netherlands. And the houses along the canals in the Netherlands are tall and skinny and look like books. So I believe that this is the artist was thinking of the houses in the Netherlands when they created this artwork. I am translating the book titles to English so that I know what the books say. Otherwise, I'm following the pattern. This was a Mania start, and it was the one that I had decided to focus on in June. It is Fairy Square by Carolyn Manning Designs. A whole bunch of cute little fairy houses. like my wee village, which is completely overgrown right now. I haven't gotten out there yet. Usually at the beginning of my summer vacation, I get out there and it definitely needs some pruning. It's looking really good. It's nice and green, but the plants have completely taken over. I need to go out there and trim it up a little. I did my own color conversion. I changed all the oranges to more of a peach color, peachy red color, and I changed all the purples to teals. And then I also changed the greens. Oh, and I'm stitching this part up here. It's DMC floss on 46 count frost by Bestitch Me. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. It's a very beautiful blue fabric. That one's been fun to work on. And I think this is another new start. Yes, it is. What did I do with the rest of these? They must be in the haul box. I don't know. When we were we visited the craft gallery in Findlay, Ohio while we were there. Kim was fabulous and drove us all around. She was amazing. And we saw these models hanging on the wall. Right before we left, Kim saw them and she wanted to stitch them, and then I wanted to stitch them. So I ordered them when I got home. The models are stitched and the pattern comes, depending on which pattern you buy. Sometimes it comes with the 40 count gauze, sometimes it does not. The ones I ordered do come with the, and this is, I know this says spring, but that was a misprinted chart. They put in another one that said summer. This is summer. Mine did come with the 40 count gauze, but I am not going to stitch it on the 40 count gauze because we got talking about 40 count even weave called Verdal, V-E-R-D-A-L. And I thought it would be fun to try stitching this over 1 fabric thread on 40 count even weave instead of 40 count gauze. So it's the same size as 40 count gauze. I'm just stitching it on even weave instead of the gauze. But they're tiny. They're like 2.5 by 2.5 inches. There's one for every season. I'll show you that when I get to my haul. But that just sounded fun to try, so I needed to try it. I'm using the called for colors on 40 count even weave. And this is what I have so far. Let's see if we can get the thread out of the way. I started doing a full cross just to see. I'm using the called for threads. They're over-dyed cottons. But it was way too bulky, so I'm doing a half cross stitch or a 10th stitch. And it's just going to be this tiny little thing. It's going to be so cute. A few more. 3 more. This is a Haid, Heaven and Earth Designs, H-A-E-D. A lot of people just call them a Haid. 4 seasons. This is the mini version. There is a full-sized version, but I'm doing the mini version. It'll be about 11 inches by 11 inches when it's finished. Using the called for DMC thread on 25 count even weave. 1 strand of floss over 1 fabric thread, full cross. This is what I have so far. These 2 cute bobbins, not this one, that was one I made that I never did put anything on, but these 2 cute ones that have the squirrel and the ladybug, my daughter-in-law Hannah made. They're Bobbins bobbins. They pop open so that you can wind the thread up on them and then pop them closed again. And then my daughter-in-law Hannah glued magnets to the back and a button to the front to make them cute. And she sells them in her Etsy store, SunshineMamasDesigns. If you go to Etsy and search for parking bobbin, it'll probably come up. But because I use the parking method when I stitch on full coverage designs, where I have all these threads hanging down, if you want to know more about that, just do a search on YouTube for full coverage parking method, and you'll see lots of videos about all the different ways to do it. It makes it easy to keep the threads under control when I wind them up in there. And I like that they have a magnet on them so they'll stay still and not flop all around. I've been working over here on the spring section. This was the summer section going into, and this side over here is the fall section. There's a huge white space right here in the middle, and I decided I am not going to stitch all those white stitches. I'm just going to let the white fabric show through there. It might look a little different because you'll be able to see the holes more in that section than you will in the parts that are stitched, but I've decided I don't care. There is so much white on this pattern, I'm not stitching all the white. Okay, I think this is the last new start. My friend Colette, the Highway Stitcher, texted me like 2 weeks before StitchCon and said, did you know that June, can't remember now, it was Friday, June 17th, June 18th, is the 50th anniversary of the Main Street Electrical Parade at Disneyland? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And she said, have you seen this pattern? And she showed me this pattern that she found on Etsy. And I was like, oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Because then I wanted to start it. So we decided to start it at StitchCon on the 50th anniversary. So I have this bag that I bought on Etsy. It did not have a zipper on it, but I added a zipper. I totally surprised myself and was able to sew a zipper on it. Oh, and I have this little what do you call that? Thread finder, thread pull? No, zipper pull. And I made floss drops out of cards that came out of a Disney game called Meme the Game. Meme the Game, Disney version. And I just stole the cards right out of the game and punched them to make them into floss drops. They make me laugh. This is all the DMC floss that it calls for. All right, here's the pattern. It's a mandala, but I love that not very much of it repeats. They are all floats from the Main Street Electrical Parade. And it is stitched. It's about 2/3 stitched. You can do it all stitched if you want, but you can also do beads for all the light bulbs. She has instructions on the instruction page of about 1/3 of the colors. You can substitute beads instead of doing that color DMC. So I decided, since it's the Main Street Electrical Parade and those are all light bulbs, that I definitely needed to do the beads so they look like little light bulbs. I started on this turtle right here. And this is what I have so far. This part, his head and neck, are completely done. So all the stitching was done underneath and then I added the beads on top. I'm still working on the stitching on this part. These 3 sections are done with all of the stitching, so the rest will look like these 3. And then I will add the beads on top of that. So, I mean, when you look at this, people keep asking me, is that all beaded? It looks like it, but it's really 2/3 stitching, like this is underneath. And then when you put the beads on top, it is a lot of beads, but it's a little hard to see the stitching underneath when you put the beads on. So it is about 2/3 stitched, about 1/3 beads, I would guess. That's just a guess. I'm doing mine on 16 count. So for the beads to fit, you really need to do either 14 or 16 count, or 28 count or 32 count. And I wanted to do Aida because when I'm working on a really dark color, Aida is just 100 times easier to see. So this is Chalkboard Aida, 16 count. This is a Mickey Mouse needleminder that I bought from Cricklewood Crossing in the annex at StitchCon. Thank you, Jenny. It was perfect. This was one I got from somebody at StitchCon a year ago in the needleminder exchange. There are a lot of beads. All those white dots are all my beads. They're in little boxes. It's a pattern on Etsy. I forgot to say that. Her Etsy store is Atomic Tiki Pins. So it's a PDF download on Etsy. That's where I got the pattern. The list of floss in the PDF pattern is just all floss. There's no beads listed, but the separate instruction page that comes with it, the separate PDF file that says instructions, that's where you find the list of which colors to substitute for beads if you want to do the beads. And the beads are all Miyuki Delica beads. I'm using this tin. I put some, you can buy Beadalon Mats. They're these little rubber mats that are sticky on both sides. I bought a couple and cut them up and put them inside of this tin. So now my tin is sticky and the beads, you can see the beads are on there, but they're not coming off. And then I can close it up and the beads don't go anywhere when I'm not using it. And I am using black Nymo thread to attach all the beads. NYMO. It's just an easy thread to work with when you're beading. You can totally use DMC to attach the beads as well. Oh, and it does, besides the DMC and the beads, it does call for 3 colors of light effects, DMC light effects, which is the sparkly thread. So that one is going to be so fun to watch it come to life. I knew that I could never stitch it and then come back and do all the beading after. I just knew it, my personality, I'd never get it done. So I'm beading as I go. I'll do as much as I can on this 11 by 11 and I'll scoot it right up to the edge, and then I'll do as much as I can. Then I'll switch to an 11 by 14 inch Q snap and I'll do as much as I can on that. And then I'll probably switch to I have 17 by 17 Q snaps, and then I also have the 3-inch adapters to make it 20 by 20. So at that point, I'll probably put it in my 20 by 20 Q snaps to do the rest of it and put it on my floor stand instead of on my lap stand. But that's how I plan on attacking all of that beading, because it's just so much more fun to do it as you go. Oh, and one last thing, I almost forgot. This black Aida, I needed a bigger piece of it, chalkboard. It's Chalkboard Aida, and I needed a bigger piece than a fat quarter. In 16 count, it was going to take a bigger piece than a fat quarter is. So I located a store on Etsy called Stitched Modern. She's also Instagram at Stitched Modern. Oh, and she also has a website, stitchedmodern.com. I contacted her through her Etsy store because she listed Chalkboard Aida on her Etsy store and said that she had bigger cuts available if you wanted to message her. So I messaged her and said, I need one that's at least this big by this big. And she was able to help me out. She doesn't do it per size. She does pre-cut sizes. And I think it ended up being a 1/2 yard was the right size for me that she sold me. Got it to me super quick because I was trying to get it before I left for StitchCon. So I said, could you possibly get it in the mail in the next couple of days? And she was so nice to work with. Stitched Modern got me that. And she also sent me these cute stickers. They're so darling. Thank you. Whoa. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned her store. She was fabulous. I'm trying to remember. Okay, last piece is my Peaceable Kingdom by Katherine Theron. It was a class that I took from her. It's a class exclusive piece. You have to take the class from her to get the kit. And I am so close to a finish. I finished this section right here and did the sky across here and the sky across here. Now I'm working on there's a cherry bark colored stem stitch that divides all these sections, which I could not do until I had the sky done, and I couldn't do the sky until I had all of these done, so I'd know how far down the sky could come, because the sky is just random satin stitch. It's not charted. So now I can do all the dividing bands, and then I just need to finish the border down here. I just have a little bit of the border to go. So I am so close. I think I started this in I think the class, up on the top I have the year 2015. The class might have been in 2014, but it has been a while. I'm so ready for this to be finished. I'm so excited. It is huge. I won't unroll it now because I think in my next video I'll be able to show you the whole thing all finished. But now that I'm home for the summer, I try and work on it for 2 hours every day because it's almost all specialty stitches and it takes some thought. It's not an easy one for me to do at night when I get home from work. Okay, I think that's all the works in progress. Now, let me talk about plans for just a minute. You may remember that I finished Cricut Collection Winter a few videos ago. I showed that. So my friend Sharon and I, the last one we need to do is Summer. So we're going to start that one in July, we think. I have the thread for it. I had this a fabric to do it on, but realized the letters are really light and this is a really light fabric. And someone suggested to me to make sure that my fabric isn't too light. When she did it, she'd wish she'd done a darker fabric. So while I was shopping at the Craft Gallery in Findlay, Ohio, I got these 2 pieces of 32 count. They're both very purple. This is a very purple, just a little bit of a blue. This is obviously purple. So I'll do a floss toss and decide which one of those I want to do it on. One is Weeks Lilac and one is Lakeside Winter Sky. So I'm going to be starting that, another new start. Oh my goodness. But hopefully I will have several finishes as well. My mainly a piece that I want to focus on for July is Beach Cottage by Victoria Sampler. I didn't get that out, sorry. Or I could have showed that to you. And my Whipco pieces for July, one was Cricut Collection Winter, which is already finished, so I got to just color that one in right away. And what is the other one? Beachcomber is the other one. I need to get, I think, 12 hours in on Beachcomber, and that won't be hard. That's a Carolyn Manning design. It's gorgeous. Which my daughter Katherine, as you know, in the past, has sometimes taken pieces home to work on that I'm tired of. Give them a little jump start for my birthday and Mother's Day. And this year she took home Beachcomber and Sleeping Princess. So as soon as I get those back from her, then I'll work on Beachcomber. And maybe some more on Sleeping Princess too. Because when I get them back for her, I'm all excited. I'm like, oh, look at all this that you did. Now I want to work on this. I told you about the finish. Oh, I have, right here is a really long skinny piece. I think it's called Mother's Wisdom. I can't think of the designer. And over here where you can't see is a really long Vent Creek Snappers, the monthly series. They both need, I have the bell pull hardware. I've had the bell pull hardware for 2 years. So one of my goals in July is to get those sewed up and put on the bell pull hardware. So I'll show those to you when I get them done. I'd also like to do a Stitch With Me video. I've had a couple people ask if I could please do a Stitch With Me video where I have the camera pointing over my shoulder and you can actually see me stitching. I'll stitch on like a 1/1 and a 2/2, a couple different methods of full coverage. I just need my husband's help with that one so I can figure out the camera angle. But I'll do that in July. I think that's all my plans, besides just everything that I will end up working on. Okay, so now we'll go to StitchCon. I have a lot of Stitchy kindness to show and all the things that I bought. I think I'll do haul first. So the StitchCon sampler that I showed you, that says StitchCon at the top and has the keepsake store and the little cat. They had these boxes in the annex. They have a ruler on the outside. Isn't that cute? Yardstick. And that piece fits right here. So I bought one so I could put that piece in here. Actually, they had it like this, and then they had little tomatoes and stuff, stitching stuff that you can put on the little shelf down here. So I bought one of those so I could finish that because I liked that finish. Oh, this is the 40 count Verdal that I bought from 123 Stitch when I got home from StitchCon. And these are the other 4 seasons. Autumn, winter, and spring. This was some fabric that I bought before StitchCon at my local needlework store, which is the Craft Center of Fine Stitchery in Salt Lake City. She has a whole bunch of fabric just pre-packaged that she got in these little packages, and I was looking through it, and this one just had to come home with me. Lots of fun stuff at that store. We also, oh, Marie and I went together and I kitted up Consider the Lilies while we were there. Oh, and Brenda Gervais Summer Schoolhouse. I got the threads for both of those while we were there. Which is a lovely selection of Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Art. DMC, of course. Lots of fabric, lots of charts. Fabulous store. Highly recommend. Craft Center of Fine Stitchery in Salt Lake City. And my Christmas Afghan that I showed you in the last video, I really loved the Halloween Afghan too, so I just ordered the chart so I'd have it when I want to start that. Not plans for any time soon, I just felt like I needed to have it. While we were at the Craft Center of Fine Stitchery, we laughed because the stitch along that we started at Stitch West, we actually picked out the My Home in the Garden by Liz Matthews. We saw that at StitchCon last year, and that's when we decided to stitch it. So we were laughing, and Kim said, so do we need to pick the next one that we're going to start at Stitch West in October while we're here at StitchCon? And then she showed me this at the craft gallery in Findlay, Ohio, and said, what do you think about this one? And I said, I love that. And she said, what do you think about it as a stitch along? And I said, I love that. Let's do it. So it's the Drawn Thread Sunnyside Sampler. It says, oh, keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side, keep on the sunny side of life, across the top. And then it has the alphabet across the bottom. So cute. So I bought the called for fabric, which I think is natural, 32 count natural, if I remember correctly. Yes, 32 count natural. And then the called for threads, some dinky dyes, and some NPI and, oh, dinky dyes and NPI. I bought those while I was at the craft gallery, the called for threads. But then I also did a DMC conversion for the people in the, we have several friends who are going to be in the stitch along who wanted to do a DMC. And the chart didn't list a DMC conversion, so I just did my own. This is the DMC colors. You're welcome to join us. We're not going to be starting it until October. You have plenty of time to think about it. We'll have to come up with an hashtag. I bought this ruler while I was at the craft gallery because I've always wanted one. You can lay it down on a piece of fabric and quickly, without having to sit there and count the threads, you can quickly figure out what count the fabric is by matching up the threads with the lines. I thought that was cool. And then the craft gallery, Teresa Kogut did a design for the craft gallery that is exclusive to them. You can only buy it at the craft gallery in his image. So while I was there, I bought that one. Beautiful pattern. This is another creative country girl bag that I bought at the Annex at StitchCon. Here's the bag. This is beautiful quilting fabric. Looks like a quilt fabric. It's lined, has her signature clip on the inside, and her lovely project tags, so you can put what project is in this bag. This one is 12 by 14. Beautiful bag. Thank you, Tammy, for making such beautiful bags. I also bought this zipper bag in the Annex. It is by Wild Violet. Cute, cute bag. And then Jan Hicks was one of the designers in the Annex, one of their trunk shows in the Annex. And I have admired her lace, Seasons in Lace designs forever. So I bought those. There is summer, fall, winter, and spring. I'm going to do them all as one piece in a square, and then the center medallion matches up when you put them all together. It matches up in the middle. This one makes a circle in the middle. It's beautiful. Thank you, Jan, for those beautiful designs and selling them at the Annex. That was way too handy. Rebel Stitcher has a design called, it's like Bloom Again. It has a saying about even after you're stepped on, you can bloom again. Planted. I can't remember. If you look up Rebel Stitcher, you'll find it, I'm sure. She had these beautiful thread packs for, beautiful, it's a gorgeous pattern. And she had this cottage garden thread in packs for that pattern in the annex for sale. So I needed that. Look at those pretty colors. And a green. I bought this beautiful glass needleminder at the craft gallery. These were some more needleminders I bought from Jenny Cricklewood Crossing that were in the annex. This one's Snoopy. This one is a chicken, roosters, because it needs to go on my rooster piece. Jenny Cricklewood Crossing also had these beautiful scissor fobs in the annex. I needed one of those. Beautiful blue and white. Pink. Oh yes, he's an owl. Look at him. Beautiful blue and white owl. And then this corner gauge at the craft gallery, because it has a picture of the craft gallery on it. Okay, that's just what this was, the Strictly haul stuff. This box is the Stitchy Kindness. StitchCon was so fun. I just met a million people, every single one of you that came up and talked to me. I enjoyed it. I know I'm not going to remember everybody's name, not even close, but just know that if you came up and talked to me, I loved it. I enjoyed every minute. I can still remember all your faces. I just don't know your names. So if I don't mention your name today, please don't feel left out. I remember you. We got this beautiful canvas tote bags. I'm sure you've already seen this on somebody else's Flosstube because StitchCon was weeks ago. There's the little passport that we get. It's put on by the, StitchCon is put on by the Keepsake store. Got this beautiful notebook, this beautiful pen. It says StitchCon. Some freebie patterns. My friend Becca, My Stitchy Home is her YouTube channel, brought these two patterns for me. This one is Perman of Copenhagen. And I think it's just called, oh, Christmas in Town. Beautiful pattern. And then this one too. Plain and Fancy Collection Spring Patches. And the fabric is already all sewed together, all the different pieces. You just stitch it on there. Look how cute that is. Thank you, Becca. My friend Colette brought me this pattern right before we left for StitchCon. Heart in Hand, Patchwork Sheep. Oh, and I can see your face, but someone gave me this fabric and this pattern because she thought I would stitch it, or one of my daughters would, and she never would. And I could see your face. I just can't think of your name. But it's a lavender and lace. Beautiful. I did take Needleminders to trade. These are the ones that I made to trade. Those are the 4 I have left. These are some of the ones I got back in trade. This I'm a Fall Girl is from Two Needles Pulling Thread. This one's from Kim. And I got these other ones. Beautiful. Mary at Stitchin' Blues on Instagram and YouTube was handing out this free pattern from FAD Needlework. So it's fadneedlework.com. There's a chart for this free pattern on the next page. And then it's part of this huge, bigger piece. Look how pretty those flowers are. So if you're interested in that, go to fadneedlework.com. My friend Colette stitched this bag for me. Look how cute that is. Colette the Highway Stitcher is her YouTube channel. The back is velvet. And it had her needle minder in it that said Highway 66 on it, which is on one of my other pieces. And this lovely lotion. Victoria. Her channel is Victoria's Craft Room. She makes project bags, has a YouTube channel. She is so fun. She was sitting at the table next to us and she came with her daughter and she made these face scrubbies and gave them to us. Look how cute that is. So soft. Her and her daughter have started a new channel. Her daughter is just, oh, lovely, lovely, fun girl. Oh, so they're making a YouTube together now, videos. And their new channel is called Two Georgia Peaches. 2 Georgia Peaches X Stitch. I had a piece of paper and I buried it. Here we go. They're also on Instagram. 2 Georgia Peaches X Stitch. So go check them out. They make fabulous videos. They're just starting out. Give them some love. It was so fun sitting next to them. My friend Colette also gave me this right before we left for StitchCon. It's a stitch. It's got the plastic bags in it so you could put your floss in a book like this. I love that. Garon Stitchery was handing out these cute little tins with a needle inside. I did do floss drops exchange. I made floss drops. I pulled cards out of another game called Code Names, the Disney version, and I just punched them and made them into floss drops and handed them out in groups of 10 with a cute little Disney ring on it and a little Disney bead. So I got lots of floss drops in exchange. Maybe I should do the stuff that is not floss drops first. This is from my wonderful friend, Mary Ann. I was so happy when Mary Ann was at StitchCon again this year. I met her last year at StitchCon. Oh, just one of my bestest stitching buddies. She gave me this beautiful piece of fabric. I want to stitch something on here in like a light pink, like a monochromatic. I think that would be so pretty. Thank you, Mary Ann. Oh, what was in here? And I took it out and used it. I can't remember. There's some little pieces of candy in here now. Might have been floss tags. I can't remember. It was the most darling thing. This is a little crocheted flower and buttons that I could attach to something. I remember your face. I just can't think of your name. Thank you. This is a wax thread conditioner. Look how pretty that is. From Michelle. Thank you. Becca at My Stitchy Home gave us all a koozie. Look how cute that is. I had my water in it all weekend. Oh, somebody came around and let us pick a tomato. I thought that was such a brilliant idea. I remember your face, just not your name. Oh, and this cute lady was handing out trim. What a fabulous idea is that? Let's see if that has the name in here. Tanta Teeny Stitches. It's her Instagram. And this beautiful card. This is a library, the library card pocket with a library card in it, so you could put it on a project. From Donna. Thank you, Donna. Oh, this was a floss ring. Floss bling. How cute that is. I remember your face, just can't remember your name. Oh, and she came around and gave us all, let us pick notebooks. It's a cute little stitching notebook. Thank you. Okay, I had floss rings on this one, I think. No, what did I put them on? Oh, I know, it's my summer start. Okay, so when I started the summer montage kit, I needed floss tags. So I took all the ones out of my stuff that I got at StitchCon. These are beautiful ones, are from Subby Stitches, S-U-B-Y Stitches. Needed those. Pam and Staff of Just Keep Stitching. This is Pam. This is Staff. These are from Tam Stitches. These beautiful clock ones. Colette, Highway Stitcher, used some of hers. I think that's all the ones I used. Oh, and these beautiful, I'm not sure who gave me these beautiful bunny ones. Oh, here it is. Crafty Kara. So I just had to use those right away. Michelle, the day before this day, gave us these beautiful ones. This was the make and take for StitchCon. We all got to take this little kit to make a little, either a fob or a zipper pull. You could choose what word you wanted. I chose faith. It's got a little, it says 2022, and a little pair of scissors to make a little fob. How cute. These beautiful ones are from Carol, the Rosebud Stitcher. Oh, these beautiful ones are from Michelle, the Stitching Grotto. And that's artwork by her. I believe she said that her uncle painted that. How cool is that? Oh, I love these. There's not a name on them, but I remember getting them. I love the sentiment on there. Becky of Williamsburg. How cute that is. Oh, Stitchy Fix Flosstube gave me this needle minder. How cute that is. Oh, how pretty. I remember talking to you. Thank you. Oh, and I remember talking to this lady. I just can't think of her. I can see her face. I just can't think of her name. Tiffer. Tiffany. A lot of fun with her while we were there. Anything WA needle. Beautiful. Oh, Gretchen. Look at the cute dog. Thank you, Gretchen. Roxy. Those are beautiful. And then these two ladies are from Whidbey Island in Seattle, near Seattle. Cook in Chemist and Poppin' Array Seattle Sky. And they gave us these little fairy charms from the ferry that goes from Whidbey Island over the Mukilteo ferry. And I've actually been to Whidbey Island and ridden on that ferry, so I loved that. Thank you. Cami. These are from Cami. Oh. Bless the Broken Road poem. Black Cat Stitchery. Black Cat X Stitchery. She had stuff in the annex for sale. It's beautiful. Oh, this scissor fob is from PJ. Thank you, PJ. Look how beautiful that is. And needles. Stitching with Grammy was there. Stitching Scotty was there. Love her cards. Got to talk to her. Judy. Look at these beautiful, they're Alabama shaped floss drops. Love those. Garden Tea Time Stitcher. Oh, I have her upside down. Sonia. Jennifer Lee of Fifth Daughter. Arita. One Mo Stitch from Mo. Beautiful. Erin. Stitching Nurse. Oh, and I remember talking to you. Look how cool those are. Thank you. The Virginia Stitcher. I talked to her several times. Oh, and Stitching Big Things with Hallie. She has a Flosstube channel. She was at the table next to us and gave Colette and I a ride back to the airport on Monday. She was so nice to do that. Lovely getting to know her and stitching by her. Check out her Flosstube channel, Stitching Big Things with Hallie. I stopped by Amy Loves Toads and her friend Becky. That was so fun. And Norma, the famous Norma who went to the Netherlands with Pam and stuff, was sitting by us. And Colette and Kim. And then Tammy T at the table next with Holly and Hallie that I just talked about. Talked to Marianne. I told you about that. Becca and Mindy were at the table next to us. Becky, my Stitchy Home. Victoria's Crafty Room was next to us. That's her and her daughter are two Georgia Peaches cross stitch. And I met so many other people, Flosstubers, Stitchers, so many people. It was so fun. I can't wait to go back again next year. And I think that's finally the end of this video. So I will see you in a couple weeks. I'm home for July, so I should be able to make several videos in July. So it shouldn't be so long for the next one. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.